Denver Public Schools and state education officials are at odds this week over an animated video that DPS released. The video seeks to dispel what it calls a myth that DPS is flush with taxes from marijuana sales. State officials said that DPS doesn't have those funds because it never applied for the grants in the first place. Eric, this feels like that DPS is prepping for a mill levy increase.
No.
I know you're shocked.
No.
I'm glad you're sitting down when I say this really in-depth analysis. Is this the right way to go about what they consider dispelling a myth?
I don't know if it's the right way to go about it, but your analysis is dead on. I don't have a whole lot to add. This is everything about a coming bond and mill levy election. Those elections traditionally for DPS have passed like a knife through warm butter. The Denver electorate is very tax friendly and particularly very DPS tax friendly, and the numbers are usually in the high 60s or 70%. Yet in this crazy year defined by Donald Trump, defined by a lot of other wackiness, everyone is running scared on these issues. DPS is included in that. They're running scared. They're worried about some notion out there that now that we have a robust marijuana industry, that all public tills are full and fat and happy. Both sides were right. Mark Ferrandino was right as the DPS chief financial officer in that the best program is really not designed for districts like DPS. The state was right that DPS hasn't applied. If it were to apply, it's probably going to get crumbs as opposed to huge dollars toward this program. But this is all about setting the stage for a campaign this fall.
Kristen, do you think there is much of a myth to dispel, if indeed there is one?
Absolutely. I think people have this perception that we are rolling in dough from the marijuana industry. First off, it's still a fraction of alcohol, always will be. And second of all, there is a list as long as your arm of people with their hands out. If I was doing an ad, if I was doing the DPS ad, I would have started with a shot of pigs at the trough, because that is what marijuana money is. Cops want money for enforcement. We all expect things like pesticide testing and things that do not exist, and they got to pay for it with something. So I don't fault anybody that's looking for increased revenue to point out to folks, hey, pot does not solve all our problems. Even though it went to education, the excise fund is only a small portion of the overall taxes that you pay when you go to the pot shop. Most of the dollars you give them in tax is not for the best funding. So I think it's an important point to make to people that it's not, doesn't solve everything.
Patty, if there is a myth or a belief out there that there is a lot of tax money to be used for marijuana for schools, is an animated video the right strategy for DPS to use?
Well, I would say the first step should be hiring a fact checker and make sure you actually have applied for the money so that they can't be slapped back the way they just were. The DPS is not good at checking its facts right now. Let's not forget what just happened with the appointed board member. This is, I would say, not as major as that one, but it is a second blunder where they just didn't have all their ducks in a row before they went public.
David, wrap it up for us.
I think the main point of this video was correct, because even if they had applied, there's really not that much money, and so it's a big deal to the money available from marijuana taxes for school construction. Could be a lot for a small school district. It's like, oh, we can put a new roof on this one building because we only have 4 buildings. But for something of the size of DPS, even if they applied, it would be very small compared to what they consider their needs to be. So, and I would say based on Mark Ferrandino's previous record as Speaker of the House, he is accurate in terms of thorough knowledge of budget issues. Not very responsible, but how to actually spend the taxpayers' money, but in terms of knowing where it's going, he's on top of it.